All right, hey everyone, welcome. Hope you all can hear me okay. I won't use a microphone. Want to welcome you to the first Hippo lecture of the semester. Who has been to these before? Who's been here before? All right, who's never been to one? It's kind of half and half. Okay, so I have been director of intellectual formation since 2019 at Vandal Catholic. We do a lot of the kind of standard stuff. Come next Wednesday, same time, same place. Father Chase and I do a Spirit and Life catechetical series, nuts and bolts, super, super important, right? Some of you have already been coming to the class that I have on Christian classics books. Erica Johnson's doing a class on Aquinas. These are kind of like very, very necessary sine qua non stuff for Catholic centers. I think, though, we need to have more Catholic art, more Catholic fiction, more stories and that kind of thing. And I want to note that a Catholic story or Catholic fiction does not have to hit you over the head with the Catholicism. I really do believe those transcendentals of the good, the true, and the beautiful, if you tell those stories, that can be a much, much more Christian story than like, this guy was a bad guy, he's a real bad guy, avoid this, and the kind of like over-the-top forced type things that we see in maybe more kind of like, the standard presentations. The point of these stories are to produce work. I am a history PhD by academic background. I'm mainly a writer. Of the 6 books that I've published, 4 are fiction. The first one in 2023 that came out that compiled the first 25 talks we did, it's actually majority nonfiction, was called the Hippo Lectures, which is what this series is. But the last 2 years, I gave a 2-part series called Sarah from the Dust Plague, set in Moscow, and that became this thin novella. And most recently, the first of a 6-part series last year, Mark and Anna Models. It was reflections on St. Augustine through the prism of these 2 former fashion model couple, best-looking people of all time. That came out in July. The story you're going to hear tonight, Andrew and Elizabeth, who, if you pick up Mark and Anna Models, you'll see there's an Andrew and Elizabeth appendix in there that lists all the things they said. They are superstars. I look at them like Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston before they broke up. They're like my personal heroes. They're going to come up and give an introduction to the talk. I will return at that point and just kind of dive into character, so to speak. Just go to the story. Quick, brief notes. This is a novella that is already completed. It will also be developed over 6 parts. 3 in the fall, 3 in the spring. It's called The Lost History of Pullman, Washington. Although it's set in Pullman and Bruised Books in downtown, I thought I did Seraphim here in Moscow. I want to do a Pullman story. I'm very much about like the Palouse as a kind of collective whole. It takes place all over Moscow, and in the 3rd and 4th installments that you're not going to hear until December and January or so, it becomes a very, very deeply Catholic story. It's a fantasy, a parody of the fantasy genre, and that Pullman and Moscow were founded not in the 1800s but the 1400s, and it was a Catholic monarchy, and we talk a lot about like Salem witch trials and people fly and teleport and all this kind of stuff, talking animals. That comes later on in the series. This is just the introductory thing, chapter 1, to kind of set the ground. Without further ado, if you join me in giving a very, very warm welcome to Andrew and Elizabeth.
Hey, I heard the crazy thing in town.
What, is it from Lenny the Lake Monster? Him again? Or is it Benjamin Big Ben Benny?
No, it's not him at all. It's Fish Punch Clemens, obviously.
Well, what did he say?
Well, everything about the Palouse is all wrong. Like, it's not even right.
Everything?
Everything.
Like Loki everything, or IRL everything, or Family What's Up text chain everything?
Like all of it. Like, basically, Pullman and Moscow were actually founded in the 1300s. Like, not even in 1889 or anything like that. And there's a long-standing Catholic monarchy that ruled the whole thing, and people not only like time travel, but they also like flew to the moon and like Mercury and Jupiter too. Like, I'm serious, okay? People use telephone booths to teleport? Come on, that's cool. Time travel, like, what else do you want to know? Like, fly by simply clapping their hands? I mean, this is all before the Great Cataclysm of 1887, obviously, but, this guy, University of Palouse, you ever heard of it? No? You wrote a book about it. Tonight's the first one. We're here. Right here, you and I.
Is Pope Leo in the story?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Pope Leo, the 4 Benedictine monks of the Pullman Hills, Count Ken of the Kibbe Dome, like, elephants pulling an ocean liner across Nebraska? What else do you want to know? Like, all the essential parts of every Catholic fantasy story ever. It's all true. I mean, if it was fantasy, it'd be the best made-up story ever, but it's 100% real.
Okay, this sounds great, but one thing more. Is Fishfoot Clemens his actual name?
No, duh, of course not. That's a nickname. His real name is Bada Bing, Bada Boom, Bada Buzz Aldrin, or Lightyear Hype Man Harris the Third.
Right.
The Lost History of Pullman, Washington. Harold Bly Tornado, PhD, Associate Professor of History, University of Duluth, Pullman. Dedicated with profound gratitude to Count Ken of the Kibbe Dome, but more so, not just to, but for Allie. I'm holed up at Bruce Books, purveyors of chair traveling, Bruce Books in downtown Pullman, Washington, on the left side of Main Street heading west, where you can find Pizza Perfection, the Black Cypress, and B&L Bicycle Shop. I'm laying on the ground in one of the middle aisles labeled Romantic Mystery Thriller Cookbooks. 3 times the girl at the front desk asked me if I needed help, and each time I said no. After I told her no the 3rd time, she told me she was 22 years old from Walla Walla, working part-time as a dog walker / social media coordinator for 4 businesses here in Pullman. Jane Austen is her 2nd favorite author. She returned a 4th time saying, could you get off the floor, because the manager said that it would not be good for business to just have someone low-key lurking in the aisles. I'd rather stay, I said, almost pleading. It's a form of self-care. My therapist told me the cure-all to all that ails me would be to spend an entire day at a used bookstore laying down the aisle beneath the books I found most challenging and inspirational. I'm supposed to do this at least twice per month. Hold on, she said. I'll ask my manager. Wait. She returned no more than 2 minutes later. Yes, you can stay as long as you like. I thanked her. She walked away, so here I am. Today is the 4th of July. I say this for the historical record recording. Today is July 4th, 2025, Friday. The outside temperature is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. There is not a cloud in the sky. There are a few other customers in the store. I have been here for more than an hour. I have checked a few times. The historical record recording is in fact recording. It is recording. Confirmed a 5th time. Yes, Bruce Books is open on the 4th of July. They are closed on Tuesdays, but today is a Friday. I am here. My name is Harold Bly Tornado. I was born on February 14th, 1990. I am 35 years old. I am 5 feet 11 inches tall, and I weigh 181 pounds. I am doctor to my students, Dr. Harold or Dr. Tornado, the most popular iterations. When I order coffee, I tell them to put HBT on the order. To women on dating apps, it's always Harry. When I made one of my usernames, another prince named Harry, it got me dates, but every woman who went out with me was upset when learning that I was not a prince. I have since deleted this app from my phone. In high school, my basketball nickname was HGT, Hyperdrive Geek Nozzle Tornado. One game, I missed 3 easy layups by basically firing the ball off the rim from close range. One miss ricocheted 3 rows up the visiting fans' bleachers. I heard the ref mumble something under his breath, and his face had this unmistakable look of disappointment, like he was my uncle or my dad. I was born Joseph Stalin Jones. My parents were hardcore Soviet Union fanatics, both born in 1910. My birth at age 80, quite the surprise for my mom, who got a 60-minute special out of the deal entitled The Ancient Woman of America. They had grown up in the golden age of American socialism. Eugene Debs' name was spoken with a hushed tone in my house with respect, whereas even Franklin D. Roosevelt was considered right-wing and probably crypto-fascist. My mom made me do a show-and-tell presentation on Julius and Ethel Rosenberg in 2nd grade. The theme was the heroes of American history. My presentation included mention of how the Pope at that time, Pius XII, had unsuccessfully intervened on behalf of the Rosenbergs with the U.S. government. My father once said, even if they were guilty, Eisenhower making 2 orphans to prove a point is a greater crime than had the USSR blown up half the world. My parents raised me without religion, but in my boyhood home, Pius XII was a name held next to Debs's in esteem. My parents died together at the age of 96 in the year 2006. I was 16 years old. They had gone on a vacation in Russia that included a submarine trip on an authentic 1950s USSR sub to the bottom of Lake Baikal. Maintenance was long past due. The sub never surfaced. I went to live with my uncle Rick Tom Hitstick Jones in Moscow, Idaho. That's how I originally came to the Palouse. I changed my name that summer to Harold Bly Tornado, having just read Harold Bluestein's excellent book, Tornado Alley, Monster Storms of the Great Plains. The Bly part was a personal indulgence. It sounds kind of like blue eyes. I always wished I was born with blue eyes, not brown. I attended Moscow High School from 10th through 12th grade. Uncle Rick Tom's farm on Highway 8 out towards Troy was spacious. There were lots of animals to play with, and he took me fishing at Dworshak Reservoir every now and then. To this day, few dishes can compete with my Aunt Betty Crockpot's raspberry cobbler a la mode. Rick, Tom, and Betty met at an EDP, Electronic Dance Polka Music Festival in Indianapolis many years ago, eloped and settled in Idaho. They have 4 boys. Dale earned that money hard, Tracy Big Bird, Jose Cuervo Ball, and Elvis Sinatra. They're like brothers to me. I have always appreciated and enjoyed the small town charm of Moscow, even now, knowing the real lost history of Pullman, Moscow, all the Palouse. It doesn't change the memories. Strolling aimlessly through the Fort Russell district beneath the trees, looking at the handsome houses, the co-op, downtown, the pastries in particular, Main Street and its shops, in and out of season relative to the May-October's farmers market, Vandal football games in the Kibbe Dome, a spacious arboretum right off a dirt road called Sand Road takes you back into Pullman. Every now and then I walk over to Friendship Square in downtown to watch people argue and yell at each other while they held signs. My favorite was a debate about whether or not America is a good country. Those in opposition chanted slogans such as, "Hey, hey, hey, schmuck, ho, 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 America sucks. Hey, 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 Mr. Hillbilly Truck, ho, 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 America sucks." Those in support sang patriotic songs like the Star-Spangled Banner and America the Beautiful. The chorus was consistently off-key and produced a sound that resembled frightened chickens being eaten alive by Alicia foxes. I remember one young woman with a truly horrifying voice singing louder than all the others. She thought the lyrics to America the Beautiful were, "Oh, beautiful for David's eyes, for ambers made him pain, for purple mountains mappingly above the rooted fame, America, America." She pronounced America Earl Morica, emphasis on the first syllable, which she drew out as if yelling at a man named Earl. I was a junior at Moscow High, and I was conscious then it was happening in real time. This was the most embarrassing thing I'd ever seen. Conscious that it was possible to obliterate any and all credibility you might have had before blank. Conscious that it was possible to observe a debate, a fight, a contest of whatever kind, and hate and pity both sides. The embarrassment grew in proportion to the sun's heat, until a man not identifiably partial to either side walked into the fray and disrobed down to nothing but his socks and a 1970s Speedo and started dancing. Police arrived not longer after and arrested him. The crowd dispersed. I thought he should have been given the key to the city, at least a simple thanks, a handshake, maybe a $10 gift certificate to the local ice cream parlor. I played football at Moscow High and was a starting quarterback from the 5th game my sophomore season on. I am certifiably fast. People do not understand how to understand speed. They'll watch the NFL Combine and see a slew of guys running 4.38, 4.39, 4.45, 4.41, and so on, and assume this is some kind of average output. Most people in the world would be hard-pressed to run it in less than 5 seconds. If a random guy off the street put down his caramel macchiato and ran a legitimate 4.9240, I declare that guy a real athlete. Full stop. In high school, I ran between 4.59 and 4.66 seconds on a consistent basis. These are official track digital timing times. My friend, Tony the Tiger Tiny Tim, once hand-timed me at 4.12 after practice, but he's an idiot. I put zero stock in that. He once had a friend drop a microwave on him from a second-story window for the hoped social media clout. I couldn't throw the football well, didn't read defenses well, but my speed was, relative to the competition, overwhelming. I once carried the ball 17 times for 286 yards and 5 touchdowns in the first half of a game. My senior year, we beat the Pullman Greyhounds 28-10 in Pullman, and I scored all 4 touchdowns, including a 92-yarder on the second play from scrimmage. The PHS head cheerleader proceeded to dump her boyfriend, so she'd be free to text and talk with me. People pretend it's not like that, but it is. Nothing came of it. After high school, I enrolled in a big-time SEC school to play football and study history. You'd recognize it immediately. I don't want to brag. I left for there and then was there for a little while, but then I came back to Pullman, to Moscow, to the Palouse. I left for there and then was there. Now I'm back. I'm here probably for the long haul. Like I said, I'm here. Bruised books on the floor, pretending to pursue my mental health, but in reality, doing something else. I promise I'll explain it all soon. This is the process of an explanation. One of these SEC schools' football coaches, offensive quality control, if I remember correctly, came out to the Jones farm on a recruiting trip and spoke to my uncle Rick Tom, my aunt Betty Crockpot, using phrases like solid athlete and potential piece of the puzzle, and could really make a contribution down the line. What struck me as peculiar during this meeting, The four of us sitting in lawn chairs out in the front yard, my uncle shirtless, my aunt wearing her wedding gown, around a charcuterie board of Marlboro cigarettes, a few tins of Kodiak long cut, Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwiches still in the wrapper, piping hot, and little bowls of Skittles and travel-sized Snickers and Milky Way bars, was as the coach was scratching his bare feet the entire conversation. It looked uncomfortable to do that. It was probably a huge breach of etiquette, but he did that. My aunt and uncle shared the story of how they met. The coach said he had been married for 15 years. His wife was his best friend. My uncle said you could always tell the character of a man by the way he shakes your hand and whether or not he looks you in the eye. The coach said most people are not aware of the fact you could get athlete's foot all over your entire body. Aunt Betty said, it sure was a shame, wasn't it? What was? My uncle asked. Aunt Betty said she didn't know, she had forgotten. Well, so what do you say then? The coach asked the three of us. Harold, how would you like being a insert SEC team's name, quarterback? I signed my letter of intent that afternoon. A partial scholarship with 2 years of school, fully paid for up front. My college football career lasted 1 day of full pads practice, exactly one play. I ran a triple option to the right with the fourth stringers and did not pitch the ball to my tailback. Rather, I cut inside upfield and was immediately met at the line of scrimmage by starting linebacker Animal Farm Drunken Party. He a returning all-conference player who was a legitimate NFL prospect. He had a tattoo that read, I hate beta males, spelled I-H-A-Y-T-B-A-Y-T-A-M-A-I-L-S. He, the guy who, when teammates commented on the fact the purposeful misspelling made it funnier, asked them, what was misspelled? No, really, guys, why is that funny? Who put his helmet at full speed into my left side and broke my ribs. I cried on the field and quit the team. Credit to blank football. They kept their end of the bargain on the 2 years of paid education. I got a job my last 2 years of college at the furniture store in town. 25% of my time was spent helping load and unload furniture. 75% was spent in the backroom offices listening to late 40s men talk about their wives, hunting, trucks, politics, and conspiracy theories. One guy was convinced fast food drive-thrus were the way the Chinese and Qatari governments stole American credit card information. I graduated summa cum laude with a 4.12 GPA, thought of Tony the Tiger, Tiny Tim, and that fake, but same number 40 time, and laughed at life's coincidences. Not long after, I began graduate studies at Blank University, a first-rate R1 research gem somewhere east of the Mississippi River, not too far from New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and our nation's capital. I earned my PhD in 6 years. I initially wanted to study the Napoleonic Wars. I read Tolstoy's War and Peace my sophomore year at Blank U in a class called Fiction and Historical Connections. This became the first step towards my senior thesis, a comparison of Napoleon's 1812 invasion of Russia with Hitler's Operation Barbarossa 129 years later. Graduate school was a whole different level of historical analytics. 3 weeks into my second year, my advisor called me to his office and said he wanted me to focus on groundhogs. Groundhogs? I asked. He motioned for me to step behind his desk and showed me a set of directions pulled up on a website. A tick over 300 miles, he explained. That's the distance from blank blank to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Do you understand? He asked me. The two of us looking at the screen. No, I said. I want you to make this your entire focus going forward, okay? I did not understand, so I just looked at him and said nothing. What's your course load like this semester? He asked. I have Fundamentals of Bloviating Jackassery with Professor Willie Winter Williams. The Environmental History of Adams County, Iowa with Professor Girl, nuh-uh, you go girl. And I paused and bit my lip, just preparing for my master's comps besides that. Oh, Tuesday night I have Inverted Critical Theory of Silent Films Made by Short Women with Professor Helga Grimhilde. What years? I stared ahead blankly. Well, there are 4 sections of that course, he explained. Silent films made by short women, 1896-1902, 1902-1909, 1909 to 1919, 1920s. Professor Sally Snowhite teaches the advanced ABD-only offering. She does. I thought Professor Ariel Halffish did. She's no longer with the school. I can't say more HR policies and directives. Right, I said, got it. 1909 to 1919, third level. I had prereqs that exempted me from taking the first 2, which were the prereqs, which courses? Appalachian Pillow Talk 200, and how to present a conference paper if you haven't showered in a week and smell like it. We actually had to live that one out. The second one is full immersion. With Professor Porta Potty, my advisor asked. Yes, but I think he changed his name to Portable Toilet officially. There is a whole feature article in the student newspaper. Oh, yes, you're right. Our beloved Dr. Peter, I'm so slap happy, creaky, squeaky, extraordinarily McReaky, stinky outhouse portable toilet. Yes. Well, so listen, like I was saying before, I want you to really focus on groundhogs going forward. We'll get you set up with a summer fellowship with an affiliated think tank in Punxsutawney. You rework your master's thesis to include this research and then really make it the focal point of your doctoral program. I think there's potential here. Once more, I was confused as to what he was saying, so I just stared ahead. You don't seem as excited as I thought you'd be. I just don't understand the nature of this research. You try to actually get inside the groundhog hole and then go whole hog. You mentioned full immersion. That sounds like full commitment to me. Think of yourself like scholarly special forces if you want. Fat Punxsutawney Phil comes out of his hole. Oh, excuse me, his burrow once a year, and big deal. His stupid face is all over the national media. What's he up to the other 364? You're going to find out. If you do half the job I think you're capable of. What does go whole hog mean? I asked him. It means you study him with indefatigable dedication to detail. It will be the greatest expose in American history. I spent large portions of the next 4 years in and out of subterranean groundhog holes in west central Pennsylvania. I once screamed at a guy at a bar in Pittsburgh because he said groundhogs and marmots were exactly the same. My revised dissertation became the book, Out of the Darkness, I First Feel the Tiny Teeth. It was published by a major university press in Northeast United States and was runner-up for the Francis Parkman Prize. Quite the debut, my advisor told me. You've made larger waves than anyone could have imagined. Well done. The prize committee selected the following passage as a prime example of my book's quality, especially relative to contributing positively to the historical conversation and pushing ahead the boundaries of research potentialities. And so I lay here all alone in the darkness again, day 826. Or has this all been a dream? Is this real? Am I real? What is the reality of the real? The superstructure of the real beneath and above reality is real or imagined interplay with contingent factors of agency and inertia. Oh no. Oh damn it. They're biting me again. No, I can't move. I can't see. It's pitch black. No, stop. No. The University of the Palouse Pullman branch campus was advertising a tenure-track professorship in their history department. I applied. I returned to Pullman a finalist for the job. We had dinner at Black Cypress. They offered me the job before dessert arrived. Just look, Harold, the department head told me. The one thing we need you to understand, if you accept, is we don't do that stuff you did back here, that nonsense, okay? Back east. Excuse me, I said, smiling as I sipped on my beer. Groundhogs, the groundhog BS. Also stuff like graduate seminar and underrepresented Icelandic rappers. This is a serious university. We are a serious history program. We love your writing, the potential, the pure talent of it. We just want you to teach and research in a totally different direction than what you've been doing in graduate school. Are you okay with that? What do you mean? I asked. Well, we want your course load to be kind of an American-European hybrid, 2 classes each semester, 1-on-1. Imagine something like a post-Civil War America up to the First World War survey paired with French Revolution through revolutions of 1848, something like that. I couldn't believe my ears. I'm sure my smile betrayed whatever aloof front I wanted to affect. For 6 years, I'd longed to break free from bottom-up agencies, contingencies, micro-histories of trivial data and minutia, assorted lenses ever narrower and more obscure, groundhogs. I still have not tasted creme brulee so good as the one I ate that night in Black Cypress. That was in the spring of 2018. I began my career at UP Pullman as a UP Pullman professor that fall. Mike Leach was still the head football coach at WSU across town. I earned tenure and promotion to associate professor last year, 2024. I liked my colleagues the day I met them. I liked my students. The department head, same guy from the Black Cypress dinner, great guy. Most do good work, my students, some excellent. Few are pretentious tools, that's a positive. Fewer still are morons. All in all, the time here has been splendid, and perhaps I'm lucky, or perhaps that is not the norm, or I don't know, it's the truth. But then maybe, I don't know what the truth means anymore, because everything changed beginning in late August 2020. Things were crazy during the COVID pandemic. Everyone's nerves were a bit frayed. I had friends on both ends of the spectrum. One guy wouldn't get vaccinated because the vaccines contained microchips by which Davos oligarchs could control your mind, empty your bank account, make you hate meat, and force you to vote Democrat. One guy got vaccinated every day for a month straight just to be as safe as possible. Not to be outdone, his best friend got vaccinated 8 times in one day and walked around triple masked, only allowing himself to be double masked when showering and sleeping. I myself was then getting ready for my third school year on the Palouse. I was preparing syllabi for Introduction to the Southern Gothic Novel and Europe's Place in the Sun, The Scramble for Africa and the Fin de Siècle, when it was all getting a bit tedious and I was tired. And so I left my apartment, hopped on my bike, and took the Bill Chipman Trail, the full 7 miles into Moscow. I parked my bike next to the Kibbie Dome, lay down on the grass, stared up at the sky. It was a lovely night, warm. Sunset was not too far away. Some birds or bugs were either chirping or buzzing. I thought I might just close my eyes and fall asleep. If I slept through the night, so be it. I adjusted my head and closed my eyes and felt the tap on my shoulder. A man dressed in a blue cleaner's outfit, like a janitorial version of Scrubs, introduced himself as Count Ken of the Kibbie Dome. He insisted I follow him inside the dome, and he would not take no for an answer, for indeed, 2, if not 3 times, I told him no thanks, I was just resting here from a nice bike ride, I gotta be back in Pullman soon. Thanks, but no thanks. He insisted, I relented. We entered through a side door on the Lower West Side. He flipped a switch, just one, and all the lights in the stadium came on at once. We stood there on one of the sidelines near the 30-yard line and looked and said nothing until he said, "Isn't it beautiful?" I agreed, it was beautiful. "This is my field of dreams," Count Ken said. "If you build it, they will come." No, if you build it, he will come." "Who's they? Who's he?" I asked. "I don't know. I have no idea, but I know this, I believe." "Believe what?" "You gotta believe," Count Ken said, now shaking my shoulders with both his hands. "Damn it, I tell you, you gotta believe. Maybe it's love, you believe in love. Maybe it's the sound of hogs being hogs, or the way your pencil drags across a piece of paper as you dot I's and cross T's. Maybe you believe in democracy, dictatorship, political polls, or the postal service. Maybe you believe in believing. What does that have to do with why we're here?" I told you, I don't know, I have no idea, but come on, this way. We took an elevator to a dark shaft housing a secret elevator, and took that one down for what felt like at least 2 or 3 minutes. I am not easily or usually scared, but I certainly was at that moment. Why I had followed the man up to this point, I cannot tell you, I don't know. We reached the bottom, got out, and stood in front of a door labeled, I kid you not, super top secret, confidential, and classified. I looked at Count Ken. He shrugged. The elevator we had come down on had already gone back up. It was cold. It was dark. Count Ken knocked on the door. Nothing. He tapped ever more aggressively, as if expecting someone to open the door. Nothing. He kicked the door hard and harder, and then fell to the ground, crying, shouting that he had broken his foot, and now we're really cooked. It was at that point that I became very scared. The thought that I would never emerge from a room hundreds of feet below the Kibbie Dome felt reasonable, probable. But Count Ken got up laughing and told me, "Sorry, I was just messing with you, having a little fun." He then pulled out a pair of keys and inserted them to a keyhole I had not noticed before. The door opened, we walked into what appeared to be a grand hall. It was like the entire Library of Alexandria had been preserved intact underground. "Behold," Count Ken said, arms outstretched, "the lost history of Pullman, Washington." When I asked why it was housed here in Moscow, Idaho, he explained that anyone from either Pullman or Moscow knew that it was really all the same thing here. These cities, these schools, they're just the Palouse more than anything else. And the quicker you accepted that, the better off you'd be. Also, he explained, we were then just standing in one room of a massive underground labyrinth that did in fact stretch all the way back to Pullman. The Bill Chipman Trail I had ridden in on was directly above a 7-mile subterranean hallway, 21 feet wide, leading to 4 different research libraries beneath Pullman. One underneath WSU's Bear Center, one beneath Ferdinand's ice cream shop, one beneath the baseball diamond at Krugel Park, and a final one at Lawson Gardens on Pioneer Hill, the entrance point beneath the seafoam teal-colored water tower one can see from as far off as Kamiak Butte. Since the initial trip, I have visited the Lost History of Pullman archives 237 times. I know them better than anything else in the world. Count Ken gave me a key and the secret elevator access code after the 3rd visit. He stopped accompanying me after visit number 7, saying, "Remember the Field of Dreams stuff I told you the day we met? I'm convinced you're the one who is supposed to come. You're in charge now, Dr. Tornado. I salute you, sir." I know all the entrance points to the archives. One beneath Monica's coffee shop on Deacon Street in Moscow, another beneath the Brown Road sign on the old Moscow-Pullman Highway. These but 2 of 27 in sum, 6 of 27 that you know about, counting the 4 Pullman ones I just mentioned. The Lost in Gardens one dropping you 228 feet into a special collection section dealing with 15th century Pullman poets. I made an archaeological discovery during a midnight excursion that found a 5th Grand Research Library in Pullman, 276 feet beneath the Rainy Park Pool. The door was caved in and blocked by about 10 feet of accumulated rubble. Count Ken and 2 other guys, Fat Slob Frankenstein and Count Chocula Davis, planned the excavation. A team of 20 skilled workers, including what Ken told me were the legendary and esteemed Billy Bob Cornhole and dilapidated Dandelion Dan, broke through and opened the door and cleared the room and dusted the artifacts to a near spotless condition. Therein, amongst other finds, are thousands of American Civil War era letters, correspondence between the Kugerius dynasty and both the Union and the Confederacy penned between May 1861 and December 1864. So I am here, lying on the floor of the romantic mystery thriller cookbook style Bruce Books in downtown Pullman, having finally completed my research and ready to write my book to tell the story of the lost history of Pullman, Moscow, the entire Palouse. Whether the world is ready to hear this or not, I do not know, but I must tell it. I have come to believe that Count Ken was right. I was meant to come to the Kibbe Dome that fateful night. It was me all along. This, I believe. I am here lying down, speaking this book into my historical record recording device. Let's call it a phone. Thank you for listening. I'll label the chapters of this book by way of Roman numerals. When you hear them, you'll know that this is it. Lost history. Otherwise, all other errata and background noise and simple lived life in real time, and etc. Well, if you want to imagine that as being signified or represented by normal numbers, Arabic numerals, go for it. What wonders I have discovered these past 5 years. It's hard to know where to begin, but I'll do my best. You will learn about the aforementioned Kugerius dynasty, in particular the great king Butch Kugerius IV, and his conquest over the Fratbro Empire at the Second Battle of Colfax in 1742. You will learn about the true founders of Pullman, the Florentine Pier Pietro Mangiatore de Zucche, Peter Pumpkin Eater, and his French wife Marie avait un petit agneau, Mary had a little lamb, who settled here in the fall of 1340, approximately 550 years before the official founding, as noted in the official narrative, of which I will soon discuss. You will learn about the usurper, Daniel Drillbutton, the 4 monks of the Pullman Hills, the lost and future king Butch Kugerius IX, the epic of the great football coach philosopher king, and the great cataclysm of August 26, 1887. But first, Pullman's accepted history for context. I am here on the floor at Bruce Books. It's recording. Today is July 4th, 2025. My name is Harold Bly Tornado. I am here. This is the lost history of Pullman, Washington. This is chapter 1, Roman numeral 1. Thank you.